Welcome, everybody, to the Onward VR Master League Season 11 Week 9 Venue Showcase. My name is Nightfire with 2 E's. I'm here with my co-caster, Theta. And a quick shout-out to all of the fathers out there. It is Father's Day. We appreciate all of the pops that are tuning in here today and maybe potentially playing. There's none here on the caster desk, but Theta, any shout-outs to any father figures out there you want to give?
Yeah, the one I'd think of is my pal Chief Pineapple. So Happy Father's Day to him. I know you know him as well. He's a good dude and good father as well, from what I can tell.
I got one. Happy Father's Day to Dakin, man. He's been doing a lot of work today behind the scenes to help push the buttons to get us live to all these different platforms that we are live to, venues, Facebook, Twitch, YouTube. Shout out to everyone tuning in here today. But we got some high-octane Onward action to deliver. Error 404 versus Raptors, two teams that are at the top of the ladder, ranked, I mean, literally the tippy top, ranked second versus ranked third. And I mean, Theta, what are your initial thoughts before we get into this match?
Well, everybody knows Error 404 is sort of like the first shot of the new era, and now everybody who has been around for a season or more wants to see if they can beat them.
Yep.
And Raptors are certainly in a position to do that, but Error 404, as we've seen in every match with them this season, they do not go out without a fight. They're coming off of a loss from Peacekeepers, which is a very close loss, and now it's just a matter of, are they going to bounce back? How are people kind of dealing with that footage now that people have seen them defeated? And I'm personally looking forward to seeing that dynamic play out today.
Yeah, if you may be tuning in and not sure what you're tuning into today, this is Onward. It is a 5 versus 5 military simulator, search and destroy style game mode where both teams, well, one team is trying to defuse an objective, the other team is trying to prevent that from happening, defending that said objective. And so there's a bit of tug and pull in terms of one team, well, both teams really trying to kill each other and the offensive team trying to capture that objective. And so that is the what you will be seeing here today. Obviously, with our competitive element, there's more to it. And that more to it is the pick ban phase that we introduce. Home team, which is Error 404, gets the first ban. Raptors, the away team, gets the second ban. Home team gets map pick. And then Raptors get second map, Error 404 pick the third. And so when we look at it, the pick bans coming in for the teams today is a ban from Error 404 on Cargo and Raptors banning Downfall. And Theta, what are your thoughts on these bans?
I was looking through the stats and the rosters, and I think that the Error 404 ban is a ban for what's called a ban for strength, which means you're just banning to stop the other team from playing on a map they're really good on.
Yeah.
Because the Raptors have 73% win rate on Cargo. Looking at the Downfall ban from Raptors, I'm not totally sure if it's statistical because they both have similar win rates, 66% for 404 and 62% for Raptors. What I think it is that Error 404 has a very good sniper in the name of Amikosik, and I think they want to keep him as irrelevant as possible throughout this game.
Yeah, you know, what you're seeing here is two teams that do a lot of research. They do a lot of homework. They're watching all of the VODs. They know what their team is that they're going to go up against, what the roster looks like, what it includes, what its strengths are. And so I certainly wouldn't put it past the Raptors team to be banning specifically that map because of that reason. It leaves us with a lot of interesting maps, one of which is Shipyard, a custom map made by one of the members of the VRML community, and it's where we'll be heading for map number 1. And with both teams readied up in roster, we should be diving into this round 1 any minute now. But Shipyard, Theta, I mean, what do you think about this map?
It's actually kind of grown on me. I think the first version of Shipyard I didn't really like that much, but this one has been updated significantly, and I think it makes for a pretty balanced, not only playing, but viewing experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we've been seeing some great back and forth here in Season 11. If anything, it's, in my opinion, been some of the best Onward I've ever watched. And with these two teams today, I think I personally are in for a treat. I cannot wait to see what these teams unfold with their strategies. We dive into round 1. We're going with an interesting 3-2 split to push right up to the bow of this ship.
And Raptors getting very, very aggressive initially. Marksman already near the red ramp on Marsok's side. Soldiers waiting on the middle roof. But it looks like Error 404, again, like you were saying, doing their homework. They do not want to face them on the ship because they know they have a disadvantage there. There's so many little places to hide in those containers, and they're deciding to go to the area with more open space and angles that they can work with.
Yeah, and Icy's going to look for the head of soldiers there to kick this off. Those shots from both ends go just a bit wide. And yeah, you can see Badger trying to tell Icy, don't repeat that just yet, especially after those shots come in. With teams like this, one thing I think we always highlight is that the coordination and teamwork is there, and that means that as soon as a shot comes out, it's very likely that another enemy is going to be also looking in that direction. And so as soon as Amico goes down, it's information for the rest of this team to work with. Cup saw that down, and so he'll most likely radio into his team, hey, this is not a safe entry, but I love the angle from soldiers.
Definitely, and they know how to lock down this ship. I've scrimmed against these guys before. They're very, very good at handling that whole situation, and I think Error 404, they kind of picked up on that because, again, they're really not trying to spend much time and energy on the ship itself. They're trying to use complementary angles to pick them off rather than confront them directly. Although STF is about to get picked if he's not careful. He's running right into some lasers. And there it is. Def Redux takes out Cup. And now it's down to 3 attackers for Error 404 against all 5 of Raptors defenders.
I really enjoy Redux position. He found that kill there. He's dropped off the ledge and tucked in. And he can be really effective here. As you see, he can raise the gun up over this ledge here, have shots into any sort of rooftop push, but can also be a threat to any crossout. So Badger is going to have a tough time pushing out. And after the comms, Redux has decided to drop off. So he's going to try and surprise Badger with a new angle.
That was a wise rotation because once you're spotted right there, it's pretty hard to protect yourself. They can get an angle when you're kind of out in the open in that little slit. And so he makes a good decision and comes down into an area where he's going to have much more cover. And now anybody that wants to confront him has to confront him at a neutral angle.
And again, for maybe those tuning in that don't know what just happened there, you can hear the comms of your enemy if they are nearby. It's an open comms game. So if it's a proximity, comms game. And so if the person is nearby, you can hear it. And so Badger heard Redux. I think we even heard the call that he's not there. Redux's position and that rotation pays off. And I had eyes on Icy and Soldiers. Soldiers does push up and finish off Icy. It puts Error 404 into a 1v5 with Cobra as the last attacker.
Yeah, Cobra has to have a lot going through his mind right now because when you're that last person, you don't hear any call-outs for kills. That is not a good feeling. And he takes out Soldiers, but 2 minutes and 20-ish seconds for one person to take out 4 on this. And they have very good setups right now. They have a lot of complementary lines. So if one goes down, it's unlikely that a refrag won't happen.
Great start for Raptors, though. 4 left alive. I think 3. They've done a good job of whittling away that Marsoc offense. The refrag there does finally come through from Tiger Strike, and off to a pretty solid round 1. Not really much more they could have asked for with 5 in a 1v5. Certainly showing power in their defensive setup there.
No doubt about it. And I think Era 404 had a good strategy in the sense that they didn't want to confront Raptors, strength on strength, so to speak. But Raptors just found a way to deal with it anyway. Yeah. And, even though they were going through these big open spaces, Raptors just kind of picked them apart as they went.
Great bit of play there. Coming through from Raptors defense, and now it's Error 404's turn to defend. And if, again, you're not aware how things work here, we swap sides on the objective, and so Error 404 now go and defend that same objectives that Raptors just defended. There are sometimes differential spawns, so there can be multiple spawns per objective. I don't think with Shipyard that is the case. I'm pretty sure you're just kind of set to spawn across the map, and the timing should be pretty easy to memorize. And in that, I mean, as soon as you spawn, you can sprint to certain locations before an enemy or a defender can get there. It's all about understanding the timing of when a person can be where in the early phases, in the first 20 seconds, if you want to play aggressive. And so, curious to see if we'll see that aggressive rollout that is pretty common. I feel like that bow hold is something we see a lot of, and the investment into that stair and command of that top floor is just so valuable. You have so much, so many different avenues to work with, so many different ways you can rotate and defend, and so sort of a meta defense that's been developing, and we've seen more of that happen here on Shipyard, because as this map gets played more, you start to see some more standard, successful styles that people copy.
No doubt about it, and this is one of those maps, like you said, there's sort of a risk-reward. You can go and push pretty far onto this boat, but if you get spotted, that's one person that's going to go down, and really not much in return. And we're seeing a much more, I would argue, conservative defense from 404. Badger in a very nice little ambush position. Oh, and Cobra takes out Marksman right away. We're only about 20 seconds in, and already Raptors have lost one of theirs.
You can see Tiger Strike set up, though, and he's looking for that refrag. He's trying to ID where those shots came through, and he should be able to see Cobra's head just barely peeking up over the ledge here, but that commitment to that peak is also a big commitment that he has to make. Cobra could spot that out, and so I don't think Tiger is going to go for the hunt here just yet. Raptors are certainly in a bad spot, though, as they do try and take control of this two-story, and actually this seems to be the best rollout for them, because there's really no defense to prevent it.
Raptors sort of holding back as well. Both sides playing very conservatively this round. And Raptors taking pretty much the same strategy. They don't want to go on the boat. I think the boat just favors the defense so strongly that both teams have sort of picked up on that. They don't really want to deal with anybody in between those containers. It's just too easy to get ambushed. And now it's just a matter of who can navigate around the south better.
Products there.
Striker. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
His laser just going over the head of Cobra. The laser, an indicator of where the player is looking at, where their rifle is pointed. It's not represented anything in game. The player doesn't see any sort of laser. It's not. There's not lasers dashing across the headsets. It's just something that we have enabled for that easy viewing experience, and you can really identify where a person is looking. And sometimes you get a good idea of just how close some of these angles can be, and how staying tucked in can really save your life sometimes. And I think, I was going to say, Raptors need a little bit more diversion over on that side, over where Tiger Strike is, so that Rypick can make the move he's making now. And he's actually gotten himself into a good spot. If he does hold that side, and he does, and he drops off. And I don't know, the ship certainly does have a lot of good defensive positions, a lot of little spots you can kind of tuck into and hide, but if you just challenge in these great areas and win, I feel like it sort of becomes a little bit 50-50.
Well, the nice thing about the boat is if you can control it, you end up with easy access to this objective. It's just a matter of clearing people efficiently, which can be really tough. But to your point, if you do that well, this is an objective that you can cap on, because there's multiple angles to get that cap. And Soldiers takes out Icy, hanging out in the containers above the objective.
Shot at Cobra, I can't confirm though.
Yeah, they're not just trying to bounce back. They have an idea of where Cobra is, and this is why Soldiers is staying so low and tucked in, because as soon as he peeks up, Cobra could have a potential ID of him. And now what you're seeing is he's turning the rifle sideways so that he can minimize how high he has to peek up, and he ultimately is clearing that barrel over the ledge while only exposing about half of his head. So just really his eyes and the top of his head peeking up over the top here, just to see if he can spot basically Cobra doing the same. He does try and hit those shots and can't quite land them.
Yeah, it's fascinating. You really tell how much homework they've done on each other. Oh, Badger Zombie gets Rypick on the boat. But Def Redux, as he was trying to clear Cobra, he actually said, "I'm trying to get Cobra." So they know each other's positions on this. Like, they have done that much homework. They can ID, without being able to see the information we can see as casters and viewers, exactly who is playing where.
Yeah, and it's always funny. Sometimes they can even recognize based off like the mannerisms, how they play, the way they're moving, that, oh, this is a player that's, this is this player, this is X. And yeah, again, it just shows how familiar they are with each other and how often they scrim and practice and play this game. It's, they understand all the little nuances and make it easy to identify who is what. Soldiers looks for the challenge against Cobra and does not come out on top, and now Redux is getting pinched in from behind, and I don't think he'll be ready for that.
Wow. So one round where one team has 5 up, another round where the team has 4 up. That's quite an exchange.
Yeah, it's I think I always say the first 2 rounds of a series are always the best indicator of what you're gonna get for the rest of the day, and I think this is where we're at. It's rank 2 versus rank 3. It is the 2, well, not the top teams, but, you know, right there, the top. They're almost number 1, duking it out. And if one of these teams wins, they very well could go up to that number 1 spot in NA. And so there's certainly a good bit to work for here, but I think we're going to keep seeing back and forth all the way through this series. I would not be surprised if we had 3 3s every map at this rate.
Yeah, I think we're in for, as they say, a spicy meatball today. These teams, like you said, extremely good, and I don't expect either one's going to go down without a serious fight.
Yeah. Yeah, this is going to be a challenge all the way through. And I think, if anything, I would be more surprised if a team started to run away with a lead. And, you know, Boss Fight versus Silent Purge, Boss Fight managed to find a few cap opportunities, and it's because they brought out some serious plays. And now that both of these teams have sort of felt each other out, we move over to the opposite side to arguably another pretty easy to defend objective. And I think we're on pace for more defensive trading of rounds here.
No doubt about it. I will add that this one has a little bit of a wrinkle in the form of the tunnel that runs underneath the map. So if you can play the tunnel correctly, which is hard to do, you can kind of creep up on a defense and pop in and clear it before anybody can stop a cap. And to me, I'd love to see one of these teams try a bold move like that. I don't know if we'll see it or not, but that's just a personal hope.
It has been executed before. We started to see teams prep for it by deploying C4s down in this basement area. And so, you know, again, it's almost a risk. Do you want to invest? Uh-oh. Okay, reset. Do you want to invest a bunch of players into this underground entry that where you could maybe all die to a well-placed C4? Or do you maybe put 2 down here, 1? Do you know, what's the commitment? And I was already seeing, yeah, the C4 on the chest there. We have a restart. It's something that you can do if you have an issue at the start of a round. And no points are attributed either side. And so the C4 is going to be down there. So it's going to become a matter of how do you get rid of it? Do you invest a nade? If you throw a nade, doesn't that kind of give away your position in that tunnel? You know, like, there's a lot of tactical questions that you got to ask yourself when you make that entry.
No doubt about it. And yeah, we're getting a round start, but yeah, I couldn't agree more with that assessment. And if you can clear that efficiently, though, it's just like it's right around the corner from the objective. And so for me, I'd like to see a team put most of their offense outside of the tunnel and then maybe send 1, 2 at max to come in when everybody else on defense is distracted and come in for the backdoor cap, so to speak.
Understand me? You.
And keep an eye on Redux for that C4 deployment, just so we know where it's at, and we'll keep that in the back of our mind. But I'm not seeing any underground rollout, and Redux isn't going to stay down there, so it's going to be maybe a bit of a guess of a C4 deployment if they need to or not down there. Everyone else, I mean, look at how far back they are. There's only Rypick who's up on that forward corner. Everyone else is staying pretty deep inside the building.
Yeah, Soldiers and Icy about to get into it, I think. Icy shooting straight down onto Soldier's position. He ID'd him, but Soldiers just got back behind the wall before a shot could be made. And now Soldiers is just hanging out behind that position. I think he knows he shouldn't be peeking now.
Just getting comfortable on his floor in real life right now. That's for sure. But yeah, he realized the threat and is tucked away. He's still in danger there. A well-placed nade from the bow. Not impossible. Badger could throw it right at his position and pick off Soldiers and then really open up a huge gap in coverage. You know, it forces Tiger Marksman to watch the entry and not hold other spaces. There's a lot of opportunity if Soldiers goes down for this Error 404 offense. They don't know it, but we do, and so we'll see if ultimately they execute that play and find the pick onto Soldiers or not.
Yeah, sort of an interesting... Oh, and Icy gets picked off by Soldiers. Sort of an interesting setup because Cobra is so far behind. He's now starting to regroup, but he was hanging out way in the back. I don't know if he's expecting a flank or something like that. And now they have 3 on the boat, including one Badger all the way at the top of the bow. I would assume they're going to start throwing some kind of utility from there because you can put utility through the top of the objective building. You can send it through those little slits. And you can also start dropping utility in anybody who is, like in Soldier's position, for example. So I would assume they're just using this as a staging area. And there's the first bit of utility.
Yeah, Badger indicated with his rifle that someone was here. So mistaking this corner spot, which is common, for a position that Soldiers is actually in on the back end, and that could seriously harm them as Cobra makes his way in. And it seems that this Error 404 team is well aware that the threat is inside.
He's here right. He's here right.
I think they also got a smoke underneath. Yeah, they did. Onto Rypick there. Not quite as far as I think they wanted it to go. If it had gone all the way to objective, it would have been doing a great job of denying vision. But these smokes doing well here to allow this Error 404 team up pretty close.
And Amico picks off Tiger inside the objective.
Go for more. Oh, just great teamwork you're seeing here. Badger holding the opposite side as Cobra swings. They find the pick. Amico can call out anything he sees while he's down. And Badger comes through. Rypick finds one. A great refrag from Cobra. Cup is way out of sync. He's still in the basement making his push up. And Cobra is going to push back and drop off, maybe recognizing that the rest of his teammate is not up on objective yet.
Ooh, and that C4 just went off. I think they were suspecting some kind of tunnel push. Yeah, it looks like they're going to go for the revive on Amico. And then they're going to send STF Cup through the tunnel and come in through the backside. Now they have 3. This is a very, very doable attack. They can start encircling. Oh, and they put Amico on the roof, too. So they're going to have basically attackers from every direction. This does not bode well for Dev.
Got to be a little bit worried about being in there. And yeah, you can see a lot of attackers getting angles there. And 404 with a solid push up. Lock in a Marsoc round. And so, hey, I stand corrected right away. These teams proving me wrong. And his Error 404, I mean, really, truly just executes it so well. The smokes getting them right up into position where they want to be, and then double teaming the pushes out, you know, covering the opposite angles. I just love seeing that kind of coordination, and it gets them the dub.
I have to say, the one word that comes to mind when I'm watching 404 play is just impressive. And not just because they're playing well, because this is a new team. It's their first season and they're playing with more coordination than a lot of veteran teams. And like you saw it in that round, it's like they realized they had the advantage. It was 3v1, and they split up and created just a multi-dimensional attack on the last defender. A lot of teams, believe it or not, blow situations like that, but they made the absolute most out of it. And again, just very impressive attack by them.
Yeah, and I feel like it's really just truly an indication of respect for a new team to come in and do this well, because they are coming in and really seeing, wow, these guys are really competitive. If we want to be able to compete, we have to put in a ton of effort. And you know, at the high level, if you want to compete at the high level, you have to put in a lot of effort, and they do. They watch their tape, they do their homework, they have people analyzing footage and relaying information back to their team. It's a lot of good homework and research that comes together for these teams at a high level to get them these W's and to get them these strats that work against their opponent. And I just love to see that execution come through. And to the point, the Raptors are capable of doing just what Error 404 did. And so I'm very also keen to see what Raptors roll out here on the offense and how Error 404 plan on defending it, because both of these teams are putting in the homework. Both of these teams do their research, and both of these teams are new to the league.
Yeah, it's I've said it before, I'll say it again. It's a new era in Onward, and it's so exciting to watch it develop.
Pretty quiet rollout on the comms front from the Raptors team. Not necessarily any sort of, I'm going to go here, I'm going to be there communication. Everyone pretty clear on where they're going to be headed out and what positions they're going to be holding. And a little bit of a different defensive setup. A little bit of a lighter investment inside, and instead, pretty heavy rooftop defense investment in there. Cup on a nice little spot pushed out on the cargo crate. I like that. Cobra and Icy, opposite sides of the roof, covering each other for the refrag.
Wow, and what a shot by Amico underneath the truck, underneath the garage door. Just some wild angles we're seeing right now.
Yep, Icy finds one as well, trying to come down the ramp. A well-placed smoke blinds Amico from being able to peek out from his position. He tries to go in and relocate that smoke, and does. Tiger almost goes down to an aggressive rotation from Icy, who, after getting the kill up on the roof, feels confident pushing out. That was like the fastest flash I've ever seen thrown in my life. I mean, how he got it that far. Holy cow, what a toss. Doesn't land on anybody, but Icy doing a bit of work here on the roof.
And Rypick and Tiger have their work cut out for them now. And Tiger IDs Icy. Oh, and just picks him right at the last second. Nice shot with an M249.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. And the defense worked initially for Error 404, but these teams are good. Raptors didn't just keep running into fire that was killing them. You saw Rypick identify, okay, there's guys pro and they're looking under these ledges. I need to figure out a different position so I can counter it. The same with Tiger. I need to find a different angle to watch the roof. And both of them find the piece, turning this thing into a 3v2. There's certainly a res available, so 3.5v2 as Cobra makes that rotation. And this is going to be such a risky rotation for Rypick. If they push out again, Amico's going to have easy kills.
Yeah, and I don't think they were ready for this spot that Amico has. It's pretty hard to counter. Like, you're not going to see that from the attacker's perspective. It's such a narrow angle, but he covers so much space simultaneously. It's just... Oh, and Icy downs himself. Did he fall? Yeah, he must have fallen off. Yeah. So now it's all up to Tiger Striker. He's looting some bodies at the very top of the map. But yeah, 1v4 on this objective is no easy task.
3 minutes left, roughly, on the clock to work with, so Not exactly crunched for time. Can kind of play around with the defense a bit. Using that utility he found, I think, to try and blind Amico and maybe force a rotation, but I don't know how well that'll work out. Bit of an interesting nade there.
This might be exactly the wrinkle he needs to take, though, because Amico is in a pretty vulnerable position, but oh, he just hurt him. He definitely hurt him.
Did he? I think he's just checking it. He's been
Oh,
checking the
yeah.
angle.
I guess not. I guess not. No, I think he's in a good position to take him out then. Oh, does he see him? Oh, right as he checks.
Yep, that's Onward.
Oh,
There
yeah,
it is.
that was some unfortunate timing for Tiger there.
Good job.
Classic stuff. As soon as you drop an angle or as soon as you peek one, you find a kill or lose a kill. And Error 404 looking solid. And to your point, that Amico position just... everyone instead looks closer. And so, I don't know if you noticed, but the suppressive fire that was coming through was coming right at the edge here of this entryway. They were trying to counter fire onto Amico, but the drop back behind this car, it just adds another layer to this gap. And I don't know, how do you... the only way to challenge this is to peek prone.
Peak prone or use smoke. I don't think if you're standing, I don't think you have any chance of winning that, because the angle he's watching, it's so much open space. Even if you ID him, he's pretty well covered, and you have to make such like an elegant shot to hit him in the face, because that's really your only chance at winning that. And he's going to kill you in most cases before you have a chance to do anything about it.
Now, I would say a real opportunity coming up here for Raptors if they recognize the objective and have a plan. I think this is a chance here to land to get a cap against Error 404. This objective, you know, it gets a little dicey if you lose the outer control. And so if a couple picks come in here for Raptors on this rollout, or excuse me, if a couple picks come in from Error 404, it's going to be an easy Marsoc win. But Raptors have to defend here, and then I think there's chance for a cap. The same way, Error 404 could very well come in and try and lock in a cap. And so I don't know. You got to be on your toes if you're Raptors right now, because Error 404 are looking very good here today.
Doubt about it. And it's such a confidence booster when you win that first map, especially it's your pick. You know, like, all right, we've got these guys dialed in. Now let's just close it out. And meanwhile, for the other team, you really have to have this comeback mentality. It's very hard to maintain after you've lost that first map. Not impossible, but it's a challenge.
Talk about new additions to the Error 404 team. Amico's there. And I heard the Russian between him and Cobra. A little bit of a conversation going on there, and I don't know what it was, but I'm sure they're talking strats, as the map 1 win is just a round away, just out of reach for them here.
Nice. He looks like he's trying to clear the roof without exposing himself too much. Tosses a frag. No one's up there.
Yeah, I'm looking at the overhead, and you have Marksman there on the bow watching that ramp entry. Nico hasn't quite pushed up yet there and isn't necessarily lined up with the rest of his team, but I think this is part of the plan. I think they've got a reserved 2 to watch for the flank down the ramp, and they're trying to send this 3-man feeler squad out here just to see where the defense is. And, well, that's information that they've gathered off of that death, and now Soldier's calming Icy, well aware of Soldier's position.
Yeah, the only problem with Soldier's spot is now that he's ID'd, he really can't go anywhere. He is stuck in that position. In fact, I see he's already used his frag, so I know that's not going to be a threat, but in many cases... Oh, and a flash comes out from Soldiers. In many cases, Icy would have an opportunity to drop a frag in that position, and Soldiers would have almost nothing he could do about it.
Echo 3.
But he is doing damage right now from that position, regardless.
Nah, let's just confirming the
I think Icy is caught on to where he is exactly and is now just waiting for a peek.
And really, Icy super exposed going for this pick. Redx could have swung out there and had eyes onto Icy. And Icy drops off, takes a bit of fall damage, grabs his opponent's syringe and flashbang, heals up, and retreats to regroup with his team, who is still feeling out this defense, trying to figure out where the rest of this defense is.
You can tell Raptors trying to play fairly tight. They still have Marksman on the bow, but he's in a good position to rotate if he needs to. Otherwise, they have two stacked up on the objective.
Redx has eyes on one, but Icy hits the shots at range. And now he's getting pressured a bit. Some nades and flashes coming over to his direction. They think he's on the second floor. No, he's inside this. They know where he is. They just can't get those nades to the window. And so staying alive a bit longer as a little bit of utility comes in from him. A nice nade toss up and over. And if you're Marksman, you got to almost rotate back at this point because he is still away from OBJ. And it's really just down to Rypick and Tiger on the objective.
And Amico is right there. If he pops this corner and gets Rypick, oh, and Marksman and Cobras exchange, and Amico runs in, gets that corner pick. Now it's all up to Tiger. He's going to get, oh, and Tiger with a nice refrag.
Yeah.
Now 1v1 on potential map point for 404. Icy decides to back off and go to the rooftop of this far east building. Tiger running around quite a bit. I don't know how much of a kill count he has because Marksman just traded. So he's got to be worried about an attack from multiple Marsoc players. Oh, but Icy just spotted him.
I don't think he spotted him. He heard him. He hears the sprinting on the other side of the wall. And he's just waiting for Tiger to peek out from behind it. But Tiger is thankfully staying tucked in. And if this keeps up, it's going to be a minute 15. Tiger pushes out, though, and that's all Icy needed. The headshot comes in. A bit of what maybe looked like a weird spot to be on offense ends up paying dividends, and Error 404 secure their map choice in pretty commanding fashion 4-1.
No doubt about it. Any bets on what you think they're going to pick for the second map?
Yeah, it's curious. I don't think sand is in the cards. It's something that I have enjoyed seeing. Maybe Error 404 will pick that if we go to a map 3 decider or when we play that third map. Sand could come into effect here, but Raptors gonna opt for a subway for map 2. And what do the stats have to say about this? Is there any reasoning on that the stats can tell us behind why they've chosen subway?
Let's see. I'm looking right now. Oh, this is curious. So they both have a 57% round win rate on Subway. Identical. So, yeah, I'm not totally sure exactly what the reasoning is, although the Raptors have a map win rate that's 56%, and let's see, Arrow 404 has a 100%. They've only played it twice. So I would argue this almost favors 404 more than it favors Raptors, but I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, what you know, maybe there are other options they just weren't feeling comfortable with. You know, maybe they didn't want to go with the likes of a Quarantine or a Cargo, which, well, that's banned. Snow Peak on the table if they wanted some range. There's plenty of options, but hey, it's I got no complaints. With the even win ratio on Subway, I was already proven wrong on Shipyard that we were headed to a 3-3. Maybe here on Subway we'll get that 3-3 that I was predicting in map 1 and see what these teams really pull out here, because that just looked like Aero 404 being comfortable on Shipyard to me.
Could very well be correct about that. And, you know, that's a map that I feel like a lot of teams are still kind of figuring out. Whereas Subway, the meta's been around for quite a while. Yes, there's a new objective. That changes things a little bit. But for the most part, these are maps that this is a map I would argue Raptors just have a lot more experience on. And so I think they're probably banking on that rather than going to a sand or something where the advantage is not going to come from experience in most cases.
Yeah, I feel like those. You know, I just don't know what to think though, because the Shipyard was that first pick. My normal thought process would be you go new maps against old teams and old maps against new teams because you have more comfortability there. But both of these squads still pretty fresh, and so I don't really know how much of an advantage any real map holds with either of these teams at this point. You know, maybe because the custom maps, they're rotated in every over the course of the map pool, and some new maps get introduced every few weeks. There's that element, but still, it's these teams at this level, they know the percentages give us a prediction, right? A maybe of what we could see. They're not by any means a guarantee of what's going to roll out, and so I don't know. We'll see again what this action gives us today. But we're off to a new objective on Subway with a quick spawn from Marsoc.
Yeah, and I'll say too that Raptors swapped in Messino, so slightly different roster composition for them now.
One thing I always talk about is the subs definitely hold a lot of value. You can have a sub that is a specialist in a certain map or a certain tool or even a certain objective. We haven't seen it come down to that just yet, but very well could be that level of substitution usage that comes in. And some teams neglect having a strong sub roster. Others really make sure that it's bolstered and have and utilize it. And I always love to see the subs come in. Didn't work out too well for Silent Purge earlier today, but maybe it'll be the key for Raptors to lock in map 2.
Yeah, Badger and Amico are in, I would argue, sort of a precarious position because one flash or one frag could take both of them at once. Maybe there's some logic that they're using that I'm not recognizing, but
the trash can.
A bit of yeah, the trash can is there. That would help.
Both trash cans, really. He could go prone behind that front one, too.
I heard Badger and Amico speaking in Russian.
Yep.
Like you said, no idea what they're saying, but you would have to assume it's some kind of strategy. Not asking each other what they had for lunch, I'm assuming.
You know, maybe that's the next evolution of high tier Onward, is that the top 10 teams start learning second languages. So that the comms don't get deciphered.
All right, I'm claiming Esperanto. Oh boy, and that's a C4, I believe. Yeah, one went off of the XXX sign, and with that, Tiger Striker goes down.
I think it was a bullet shot and a C4 combo there that gets the pickup. The call out was there for the C4 detonation. I think it came just a bit late. And now I really like Badger's position and where he is. He's tucked into a dark corner and Soldiers doesn't see him.
Yeah, sort of interesting. Badger is not rotating after taking those shots. A little shocked to see that, but it might pay off. It might be just such a strong position that he feels confident hanging out there. And the trade between Messino and Badger. Now it's 2.5 versus 3. Yeah, I think that revive is happening.
Yep.
So now 3v3.
You really only need 3, though, to defend this objective, and they have the right angles help. They've got Cobra watching the back flank, the back stairs, also peeking here. Icy behind objective, an interesting spot, watching down Main Street, and Cup watching the south rotation, or excuse me, north rotation. I'm getting my directions mixed up. So they have the right coverage. It's just a matter of how Raptors then decide to execute. If they do invest one apiece, or if they send 3 against 1, what's going to be the ultimate push? It seems to me like they're going to go for at least a stack here. I don't know where that third is, though.
Well, they're doing the right thing in that they're splitting up. On this objective, you really don't want to get channeled into one spot, especially these alleyways connecting to the objective. Oh, and Icy using the objective itself as cover is actually not a bad idea because the objective has some pretty strong hitboxes around it.
Wow. Perfect toss of a flash right onto Redux. Maybe, if anything, puts a pause into Redux's movements, but doesn't damage or impact him negatively. And I don't think they're going to be ready for Redux on this corner. I don't think they've anticipated the cross. I don't think anyone's going to be ready for Icy on objective.
Good job. Good shit. High fives. High fives. High fives. Let's go.
Wow.
Let's go.
And just another dominant defensive performance by Error 404 on that round.
Yeah, they are looking really good right now. They are playing in sync. They're playing coordinated. They're reacting appropriately to rotations, smokes, and picks. And they're making it tough for Raptors to really gain any ground. Everything is bought and scraped for by the Raptors team, and it doesn't feel like it's that difficult for Error 404 to do the same. Of course, that's just round 1 of map 2. This is Raptors map pick, and so not going to count them out yet, but to kick it off with that solid hold like that, you know, who knows? I think we'll probably trade Marsoc rounds here, or excuse me, Volk rounds here, and then we'll really get in to the meat and potatoes of this map. But off to a good start for Arrow 404 now, and I think that might be 5 unanswered points. I don't think Raptors have gotten on the board since they've scored their first point of map 1.
Yeah, I think that's correct. They've gotten close a couple of times, but just not quite crossing the finish line on those points. And I'll tell you, I've been in that position before. It is demoralizing. And the other side of that, though, is when you're on a team at this level, like, you know, if you are not experienced, it's very easy to get tilted. Let me put it that way. And if you are playing at this level, you've probably been through the situation enough that even though on the outside it would seem like it was just like a boiler inside the tent, they're probably fine right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure, they're still focused and still locked in, and you can tune in. Here are the early comms of Error 404 there. And Raptors, yeah, I mean, they're still focused. You know, they're talking about placement of C4, and they're locked in, ready to go for this next round. Redux going to toss one out here right at the similar spot that Error 4... Oh, that's where it was. It was somewhere over here where that last C4 was, where it caught out the cross, and so that's where they're going to set up. And Redux is actually here for an audio position. He's going to tuck up, clicker in hand, and just listen. Once he hears a single thing, he's going to deploy that C4. And truly, if you peek this corner, are you really checking right there where he is?
I wouldn't. No, that wouldn't be part of my checks at all. It's such a good spot, too, because it's hidden by that XXX sign. So even if you're looking around, you're not going to see it till it's too late. If he hears or suspects that you're around that corner and you have an angle on it, you're pretty much toast at that point. Soldiers gets Icy, but Cup returns the favor by getting Messino in this horseshoe alley. And then Cup decides to back off a little bit.
It's the 2-2 split coming in here from Error 404. They're trying to apply the pressure here on the horseshoe, on that overpass. They got the smoke out, and that's where they found the refrag through the smoke. Now the push coming in here on this other side. Did they get that C4?
Yeah, Cobra saw it. He looked up and shot it.
And
What awareness.
really solid job from them to catch that out. It puts a little bit of a back foot, though, still on this Era 404 offense. They've gotten some good kills. The pinch, though, coming through. Tiger feeling the pressure on both ends. Actually goes into a very good position to challenge, or be able to challenge, but another down, and it's really just Rypick, and I wonder if Era 404 is thinking cap here.
They may very well, because Badger can run down this east alley, or excuse me, west alley, and he can cap from a position where Rypick will not see him, so they can just keep him suppressed. Zombie, and that's exactly what it looks like they're trying to set up now. Just keep the fire on him, keep him distracted, and then come up on this alleyway.
Uh-oh.
Here we go.
Getting a little bit lackadaisical. Rypick swings out to get the double. Sometimes that suppressive fire and going for the cap can bite you in the back, and even Badger still thinking about it. Goes back to the rifle, and I think he's going to commit. I don't know what he's going to do. Is he going to go for the cap? He's got that pad. I don't think he can cap there. He has to push out farther. And so, yeah, he's not going to go for it. He's going to go for the rifle trade. Rypick does ID him, and we're in just the tightest close quarters exchange that we've had yet. Badger finds the kill. Error 404 continue to win rounds.
I could kind of see the mental back and forth going on in Badger's head there, because you think to yourself, all right, he just checked this alleyway and he didn't see me. Does that mean he's going to back off and assume that this is safe? Because if he does, that's a cap opportunity. I could saw it because he didn't get spotted and he pulled his tablet out again. And then he heard the steps coming back towards him and he said, all right, I'm just going to take this shot now. But just such an interesting, patient moment there for Badger. Rypick, to his credit, almost got that kill. Just the timing on that peak was a little bit not in his favor. But wow, really coming down to the wire. 1v1.
Yeah.
Error 404 just continues their march, though.
Really a bit of a throw from Raptors. The 3v1, the setup, they're looking very good on their attack, and I think they just got too caught up in going for the cap and not securing those kills, and it can happen to you sometimes. When you go for that cap, it can bite you in the back, and yeah, it's just unfortunate that they can't execute with it, and ultimately a great hold there from Error 404. That triple that comes through to save the round. What the KD's looking like.
Now, Raptors, I would argue Raptors have kind of an uphill battle on this objective. This is one of the more defendable objectives in this map. You can just set up kind of a linear defense, and at the very least, you can stop caps. Even if you end up losing everybody, it's not that hard to set up a defense where you're at the very least not going to get 2 points put on the board against you.
Yeah. This is going to be tough. This is a very important round for Raptors. They don't want to go 3-0 here on their map pick. They definitely need to lock in one now. And this is, like you said, going to be very hard for the Raptors to do. Because this objective, I really do think it's still pretty Volk friendly. It just requires the right Volk defense.
Yep. Yeah, and there's a pretty meta setup on this defense, and even if you know it's there, it's just hard to deal with. And if you play it conservatively, like I said, maybe you don't win necessarily, but you're not going to get capped on in most cases. Caps do happen on this objective, I'm not going to pretend like they don't, but if you play it smart, it's very, very easy to deny that cap. And that's really, Raptors, they really need points right now.
Yeah.
If they could get a cap,
do.
that would be ideal for them and get them back in the game, both points-wise and psychologically.
How often have you seen that objective capped, though? I mean, maybe once I've seen it. You know, like I don't think many teams get the opportunity presented.
It just doesn't happen that much. It's just easy to have a last one up position around it, and you know, even if they smoke it or something, you just run into the smoke and stop the cap. It's not like, you know, the mid platform or one of the other more variable objectives where you're going to have a bazillion angles to cap from.
Slow and calm rollout, as is this objective, and that is because there's a lot of clearing that has to get done. Raptors are going to send 3 into the basement, and so they have to clear out that basement space, which can get pretty toxic. There's a lot of different spaces and a lot of dark corners that a Volk player can tuck into. And they also have to clear out this whole top floor. Cobra is up here, though, and so maybe he'll be able to find the frag onto Tiger, but I don't think he's looking here. And now with Tiger giving away his position, information for Cobra to work with, and so I don't know if Tiger's going to have much success clearing this out, but that's what he's trying to do. Trying to clear out this top floor, and then they'll make their entry in from the stairs.
Cobra is in a position that I think is really going to throw them off, because it's just not a common defensive position for people that are hanging out on this objective. Like, it's not uncommon to see people playing defense on the mid platform here, but to put him right on the train, it's actually a good spot too, because he can rotate onto objective, and just like that, he gets Tiger Striker. Right-Pick's right behind him, but I don't know if he knows where Cobra is. I think he just heard the shots and is probably going to start looking more in the meta spots, if anything. Ooh, and I think Cobra might have heard him.
Yeah, Right-Pick, it's interesting that he didn't pick up on this location based off of those gunshots, but it's such a, to your point, it's such a rare spot that I don't think Right-Pick was, I heard gunshots. There's no way it's there. It's got to be somewhere over here, you know. It's maybe him just not even trusting what he heard. And
yeah, that's sort of the cycle of doubt you go through, because you think to yourself, who would play this spot? It doesn't make sense. It's not a bad spot or anything. It's just so uncommon. People that have been playing for a while will think those things. And I think he heard Cobra, because he just changed his pathway and now he's sneaking around this corner. I think he's going to get him right in the back. There it is.
Classic Onward timing. Had a lot of that today on both of the afternoon series and this one. As soon as you look away, you're dead. Big pickup there. Going to open up the entry onto the stairs, make it a little bit more effective for both Redux and Rypick to do some damage.
And yeah, still taking their time. It's one of those objectives you can kind of bring it down to the wire time-wise, but they do need to start getting a little bit faster on their clear, I would say. They need to get to that tunnel entrance, clear it of C4, make sure nobody is watching that, and then start pushing in from the opposite side, too. The most effective attacks on this one are coming from multiple angles. So you have people coming from the basement, and then you have, ideally, people coming down both stairwells. It looks like that's exactly what they're trying to set up. Def Redux on the south side stairwell, Rypick on the north. Everybody's getting in position now. Should start to see utility coming out within the next, I would argue, something like 30 to 45 seconds.
2 minutes on the timer, and again, just to Raptors' credit, really nicely synced up right now. If you look at the overhead, a perfect line as they make their way up. Soldiers and Masono not necessarily slacking, just doing their due diligence to clear the darkness before they make their exit. And I think the timing is going to line up nicely here for this entry, as long as Redux doesn't go out too early.
And Cup, I don't know if he heard him or not, or I think he might have just been adjusting so he doesn't get picked by somebody coming out of the tunnel. Oh, and wow, Def Redux, nice snapshot.
Yeah, really good. Big pickup there, and you heard the Echo call out. That's something that we've seen popularized more of, Echo, Bravo, whatever. Certain abbreviations for positions so that it's a quick call out, a quick identification. The team knows exactly what happened and who's dead and where, and they can then move off of it. And Soldiers finding Icy and Error 404, finally not looking so strong on defense as Raptors are getting the picks they need.
And like we were talking about before the round started, like, this is clearly going Raptors' way, but a cap right here with these two defenders sitting on objective, very unlikely. So I would put my money on Raptors at this point because it's a 4v1. But they are going to deny the cap at the very least.
Oh my god.
C4 gets detonated. Smoke comes out. We don't see it in the first-person view, but the fire comes through it either way. One goes down, but not before the whole team takes their shots. And they were going for the cap. They had the right idea, but couldn't quite put it together. They do get around, and so they are up on the board after what was a streak of rounds from Air 404.
Yeah, and now Era 404 in a pretty good position still. Raptors can make a comeback, though, because like we were saying before the last round, this is an easily defended objective. Now, it doesn't mean you're going to win, as we just saw, but
Right.
I think they at least can walk into this round with the confidence they're not going to just lose the map on a cap on this one.
Yeah, that is true. You can maybe even play it a bit differently based off of that assumption, you know, maybe invest a little bit up into that aggression on the upper floor. I guess to counter my point, that's almost the only way you can open up for a cap, because if you do have 1 or 2 left alive on that top floor and no one on the bottom to defend.
Yep. Yeah, I would argue you see some teams, they'll send everybody through the basement. That's really what they're angling for. They want to catch anybody that's up top, still up there, and get on the objective before they can react and get a cap. That is really, in my experience, the best pathway for making that happen, but even then it's hard to execute.
Start seemed like it was going to kick off there, but both squads wanting a little bit more time to hash out what kits they're going to be using, what strats they're going to be rolling out with. Not sure what it is, but either way, we have. If you are just tuning in, you're tuning in for what has been a pretty dang good series. Both of these teams showing some serious high-level gameplay. Really great bit of back and forth, and really, truly what I think maybe could be the comeback of Raptors right now. If they can start to muster up the strength, start to get loose. They looked great there on that offensive round. Very coordinated, very in sync. Finding the picks they needed. If they can just replicate that every round, they very well could take this second map and push us to a map 3 decider. I'm not counting them out yet, and I think Era 404 would be foolish to do the same, and I can't imagine that they're starting to relax just yet, but that series is almost in their grasp, and sometimes it's the hardest to lock in that win.
And some teams, you get them on the ropes, and that's when they play their best for whatever reason. You get them to that position, and all of a sudden the fire is lit, and you have a real fight on your hands. It's almost like they're lackadaisical to begin with, and then the moment they start losing, they just wake up. I would not put it past the Raptors to play like that in this map.
Yeah,
And,
backs against
wow.
the wall, and go ahead.
I was just going to say, 4 getting sent. If you look at this setup, just lasers everywhere on this top side. And where is this last one? Let's see.
Underneath.
And, yeah, I see in the basement. So he's likely to be the distraction or maybe the late push. But yeah, it looks like they're going to primarily put everybody on mid-platform.
Pretty big commitment to the top floor, something we don't see a lot of. It's usually a 3 or 2 at least player commitment to the bottom entryway where Icy is, and that's because you really only have 2 options here to push down from these stairs, and most teams defend these stairs pretty well. It requires a little bit of a distraction from that long end, which you saw work really well for Raptors to get that to get control of that bottom basement exit. Really sets you up well to get rid of the stairwell defenders, but not necessarily investing too heavily down there. Icy is on that basement floor, but there's a C4 waiting for him as soon as he commits to this push. And, a pick coming in from Riot Pick up onto the top.
Riot Pick hanging out on this turnstile. That's another really unorthodox spot for this defense. And 2 downs, but that is not going to be enough. And both of them get revived.
Yeah, and Icy's actually dropped off of the basement and is up here now on the top floor. I think he realizes that he's not needed here. No one's he heard the call outs for reses most likely and was coming back to support or reinforce, but everyone's picked up and he returns to the basement entryway. He returns right back to where he was before. Doesn't go an inch further as he waits for the rest of his team to set up.
And you can tell they are just staging now.
Mm-hmm.
You send 2 down each stairwell, Icy through the basement. See, they've got 3 minutes left. They're taking their time, just making sure these clearances are done. They still kind of have to clear out a little bit of the north side, I would argue. But, yeah, Miko and Cup starting to make their way down already.
Badger's trying to get the attention of Cobra there, but couldn't get his gaze. Tried to wave his hands at him. Maybe trying to indicate for Cobra to come back with him. And, whoa, we got to pay attention. The push has come through out of sync with the rest of the team as Cup and Amiko take control. Icy wins his exit. And it's just taken 3 to get rid of this Raptors defense. Error 404 on the hunt for another round. Here comes the push in from the other side. Cobra and Badger now. And this seems like a really nicely synced up crash around the objective. Is it going to be enough? No, it's not. Tiger shuts that up.
Wow. Yeah, nice defense by Tiger on that. Really pressed it into them as they came down the stairwell. And now he has evened it up. Now 1v1, minute and 45 left. Now it's a matter of who gets the clutch here.
I like this. He's going to drop off of that position. It wasn't solid. If anything, now he has to go quiet, which he does, to avoid any audio detection from Tiger. And he's going to try and make his way down the other set of stairs.
This is quite a move. I just don't know if he has enough time to play it the way he wants to play it right now. He's trying to go slow and quiet, but he's only got a minute and 10 seconds. He might be able to pull this off, I guess. If he just gets to this stairwell with, I don't know, something like 50 seconds, he should be okay.
It's going to be really tight. This play is going to be very tight on time because he's going to do it. I think he's going to commit to playing it quiet down these stairs, which he should. He should go right now, commit to a full quiet walk down the stairs, and then try and execute on the last 10 seconds. And I think that's the timing he has. Tiger's, oh, wow, what a great peek from Tiger.
Yeah, and he baits that shot. And now, okay, the timer just went off in both of their helmets. They have to know. Tiger's setting up a very strong angle.
And
Cup
so
he has no
worried.
choice but to come down.
Yeah, he does. He has to push in. It's a good flash. Those are always dangerous. So the trade comes through. Raptors get the W. They defend and hold. We're tied up 2 apiece.
Wow. And this is the Onward I know everybody who is watching right now signed up for when they decided to sit down and watch this match. This is fantastic.
No kidding. An absolute crazy bit of back and forth here today on Subway. Looking like Error 404. We're running away with momentum, but Raptors have maybe finally warmed up, maybe finally got that scent of blood in their dinosaur nostrils and are on the hunt for some errors. They're finding them right now.
Yep, and now we get the spiciest of all the objectives on this map, in my humble opinion, which is the North Stairs. This is the one where you tend to see the 4 or 5 person pushes down the stairwell, lots of smoke, lots of LMG fire. And Raptors, I mean, they're good at this objective, too. I've seen them play this. They know what they're doing. And not to say Error 404 isn't either, but if they're going to have a comeback, this is the objective to do it.
It's true. It certainly is cap-worthy OBJ if you can get the right picks and get rid of the right defenders. Certainly something that could result in 2 for Raptors and the map. Take us to that map 3. Where do we go? I don't know. I would think maybe sand, but maybe that's the place where Raptors could excel. Close quarters, tight engagements, they certainly do play those well. So I don't know. I mean, again, you're looking at rank 2 versus rank 3 worldwide. Even though Error 404 did well and looked very good on Shipyard, it was just a good couple of rounds for them. You know, that's what it really comes down to. anybody's game now as we're all tied up. We go to a crazy objective and dive into round number 5 of map 2.
This way, where are you going? Yeah, you wanna push them or you wanna wait for them? Oh.
Oh, there's a double stack on the north stairs. And it looks like, yeah, Raptors are not going to take that much of their attention to go to the north stairs. Only committing 1 so far. There's a trade, although Cobra is not dead. Revive happens immediately. Now Messino has to ask himself if he feels lucky today.
Yeah, or maybe maybe he is feeling lucky. Maybe this Air 404 team will just run right into him. Oh, that's a great flash. That's a great flash.
And excellent adjustment right there, too. Wow. They were just waiting for that. Messino, while blind, made an excellent rotation behind that dumpster, and then Rypick just made both of those. Or actually, I think Messino got one of them, but they really made those defenders pay for their aggression.
Yeah, and you know you're looking at this, you're thinking, why is Rypick way back there? They're sending one at a time. You know, they sent one down, and Masino was up next on the hit list. Then Rypick after Masino dies, but the reason is for exactly that, because the enemy can counter-aggress. They can push this corner, and that's what they tried to do. They had a great flash onto Masino. They heard him drop back, so they felt confident that he was flashed, and then the swing on that corner. The initial peeker knows where Masino is behind dumpster. He then goes for more, gets down by Rypick. The second defender comes around and doesn't know that Masino's behind dumpster, and that angle pays dividends. And so both just doing great to play off each other and now put themselves into a 4v3 with really incredibly weak on-objective defense.
No doubt. If they can pick a Miko, this will trigger a rotation from both Badger and Cup. They will have no choice but to get back on the objective, and they've got Def and Tiger in waiting on mid-platform.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of the classic play. You clear out the north objective side and then force the other defenders who are watching the rest of the mid-platform back to the objective where you pick them off.
Perfect. They're perfectly set up right now for this attack. It's just going to come down to execution. Air 404, certainly capable of getting 1 or 2 kills per person, and so a 3v4 advantage isn't necessarily a lock-in for a team when you're going up against them, and so still got to be a bit cautious, but they are really nicely positioned for this attack.
And this is always the battle of the prones on this north stairwell, because if you go down this north stairwell and you're not prone, anybody who is prone on the backside of the objective area will see you first.
Oh, wow. Tiger finds Cup. He clears that out. Redux now is going to go after Zombie. Oh, and actually Tiger's just going to commit. Pushes out and manages to dodge the shots of Badger. He can now actually continue to push out and continue to dodge Badger's shots, but Redux is going to apply the pressure on the corner. Oh, actually tries to smoke it, and actually doesn't smoke Zombie at all.
Yeah, now Rypick and Messino both coming down the stairwell. Messino picks up a Miko.
Oh.
Oof. Wow, that was... If there was a little more coordination on that, that's crap. That's the end of the map right there.
That was too good of execution. They went in for that play. They had a plan, and they executed it, but everybody executed it, and everybody died. And so, gosh, you know, I just... You know, what we were talking about where there's... If they had just sat there, you know, and allowed and waited for the North to do what they just did, get that kill, and then push up onto the objective, everyone's forced onto rotations. If anything, you even let that defense rotate, right? You don't take your shots. You just watch them run. And when they get close and you haven't capped yet, then you take your shots. And, like, there's certainly a way that could have been played where a cap would have been easily secured, and this is map 2 into the hands of Raptors. But we go to another round. They now have to defend, and if anything, another chance gifted to Error 404 here, truly, because they could potentially cap this and take away this map and the series.
Yeah, and of course, for everybody watching at home, it's always easier as a caster to say, hey, I would have done this, and so on. We've all, you and I have both in the headset in high-level matches, and it's very stressful. You just basically want to get the kills and get the round over with if you have to. But yeah, just like in an ideal world, I would say even sacrifice your attackers there. Like, draw the attention of Badger, take some just random pot shots, get him to pop that corner, and then have the North guys come in and get that cap in. But again, like, just easier said than done, especially when you're not in the game yourself.
He's saying that we have a better, we can come up with better plans with X-ray vision than they can without it. I don't believe you, man.
Wow.
Yeah,
so, go ahead.
We go back to this objective now, and we swapping sides. I wonder what Raptors are gonna do here. They're so close, but no round's been easy. Error 404 have proven that they have strats on offense that are effective and can get through Raptors defense. So maybe I would almost feel less confident here than I would if I was pushing on offense for Raptors. We'll see if they can defend this objective, but anything is possible as we get into this next round.
It definitely sounds like Raptors are feeling pumped up after that. Probably feeling a little dejected after that 2-0 start to this map, but now they are just rolling.
His world is about to be washed away.
They're gonna see that shit.
And 404 only sending one attacker to the north.
Yeah, counter to the style of Error 404, Raptors have sunk a lot into the on-objective defense over here on the north and are really going to allow for Error 404 to pretty easily take control of the south side and ultimately that entire subway space. They'll be uncontested, pushing up all the way, they'll be uncontested all the way until they get to that final set of train tracks and they're crossing onto objective.
This is an interesting little standoff going on between Soldiers and Icy. I feel like Icy just knows that Soldier is there. Oh, and a grenade. Oh, a smoke grenade. Never mind. Question is he going to be ready for Soldiers behind this dumpster?
I don't know.
That's a tough spot to be in.
Good utility goes a long way here. A well-placed flash, a nade, something, but I don't think Icy has enough points to have that many utility pieces, and so you saw the flash come up and over at the start. The smoke here, pretty sure he's out of options. He has to go for the challenge with his rifle. Oh no, there's another bit of nadage, and that's actually a great flash onto Soldiers. Perfectly blinds him, and Icy finds the kill. So I guess he didn't throw the flash at the start, which I thought he had, but maybe that was a defensive flash instead.
Either way, now the north is more or less secured for 404. Although Raptors are playing it pretty tight. I think they are dead set on not losing this map on this round.
Yeah. Yeah, to the point they're perfectly okay giving up the kills, keeping this thing tied. They really have to avoid is the cap, and so it forces maybe different, to your point, different defensive setup than we would normally if you were a bit more comfortable with your lead. You could do something a bit more aggressive. Def Rodak's the only one that's really pushed out far, and like I said, he isn't that far. It's pretty close to objective.
Ooh, and I just spotted a C4 on my camera for Def Redux. So he gets a sense that anybody is pushing him. He's just going to push that clacker right next to him. Oh, little does he know. Actually, I don't think the C4 would get him if he pulled it just because of the hitboxes around that.
No,
but
yeah, Miko has to commit to that railway. So, now's a great time. Not needed, though.
Yep, does not need to click that clacker. Instead, just decides to shoot him the old-fashioned way.
They smoke.
Да.
It's funny. I can hear them speaking Russian to each other, and then I just hear the word smoke.
Yeah.
So that's all I can pick up from that.
Сзади, братик. Кидай, засмокай его.
Cobra
Именно
tossed
надо
Badger is
убить
smoked
его.
there.
Только надо убить этого.
Always love to highlight the VR elements, simply because sometimes they kind of get lost in how competitive this shooter is. Kind of forget that everything is done in VR, and Cobra there taking a flat smoke, literally just tossing it to Badger, Badger picking it up, and now going to utilize it. One of those things you can do. You can trade weapons, you can trade ammo. A lot of sharing, and Cobra sharing bullets with Masono's head.
Dang, in STF Cup, he has made his way to the north side of that mid-platform. Oh, but Def returns the
Yeah,
favor.
huge.
They're smoking me
And
out.
now he's getting smoked out completely. Badger and Cobra. Oh, they're going in.
Yeah, now would be the time for the C4. But it doesn't go detonated. Badger's safely across. A rotation from Redux is troublesome simply because of where Badger is looking. Almost anticipating a rotation.
No. Oh, no. Rypick needed to stay alive. Oh, I was
So
going to
lucky.
say Icy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
man, that was so lucky because Icy had just free reign over the objective there.
And I mean, you want to talk about an easy cap opportunity? I mean, another cap opportunity presenting itself there. Not coming through. Error 404. Get a point. Tie it up. But could have had map right there if they didn't go for that last kill. If they didn't get strangely aggressive there in that tunnel. I'm not sure what that play was. They had all. They could have just all sprinted and capped. But again, we see what they don't. We have that X-ray vision, and obviously we're also not under the pressure of trying to win a series here, trying to potentially go up into first place in your division. There's a lot on the line for these teams because they are so close. There's going to be a good substantial gain in rank if they can win, and so we get down to what is a very important round number 7. Raptors have to lock in a Marsoc round, and they got to do it on an objective that I'd say is certainly. Because I almost feel like a cap is easier here in some cases than trying to get kills. Is that something that is even on the mind of Raptors right now?
I would be hard pressed to, at least if I'm in the tent, to think about that. Just because, yes, if you can get a cap, always take it. But on a 3-3, there's no advantage to a cap. It's just more points, I guess, for your MMR. But other than that, your primary concern is just winning the map on a 3-3.
Right.
So it's just take it slow, be smart,
True.
meticulously pick off the defense if you can. If you're on offense, and on defense, play smart angles and make sure you're crashing when you need to. This one it's one of the easier ones to cap, only in the sense that if you can capture that tunnel entrance and smoke that ramp, you can cap from behind this pillar right next to the objective, and there's really nothing anybody that's far off from the objective can do about it. Likewise, if you don't cover the north side, they can cap behind that map. So you always have to have the north and the south of the objective covered. So if you have like one person left, it's very, very hard to deal with.
Now is the time to take time and really hash out a good plan. And I'm sure, like I said, both of these teams in that pregame lobby, able to draw up strategies on the chalkboard, able to talk with their team about what they're going to be doing and show where they're going to be doing it. Really a great spot to improvise at. And I got to wonder if any of these teams are improvising or if they're just going through their playbook, sticking to what they know has worked. I feel like every round you almost have to improvise an Onward.
Indeed. Yeah. All I can say is 3-3 deciders like this is what I personally love watching Onward for. It's like the bottom of the 9th of the Onward world.
Yep. That's a great way of putting it. And they're going to go for that bottom entryway in the bottom of the 9th. Soldiers, Redux taking control of the basement. Rypig, Masono going for the catwalk. They're not going to find any resistance there all the way through the stairwell. They're not going to run into a single defender.
Icy waiting with a Molotov cocktail next to that tunnel entrance, but yeah, like you said, I don't think there's going to be too much of a push, at least not yet. Soldiers is below it, but Raptors playing it conservatively. Again, everything for this match is on the line, so I don't blame them. They're just taking their time, clearing angles, making sure they get into a good position before they start their attack.
Yeah, Redux going for an interesting move in the basement, but I'm just more surprised by Amico being down here to hold it.
This is very unorthodox. Oh, and Amico misses those shots.
Follows it up with a bit of utility that forces Redux off of the cross, out of the darkness, and maybe into a position where he will no longer contest that tunnel.
And Rypig gets Cup.
Yeah, and that's that uncontested catwalk entryway they had. No one defending these stairs gives both Rypik and Masono good control of it, and these stairs are super effective positions. Down goes Amico Sick, and this is not looking good for Arrow 404.
Cobra returns the favor and gets Rypik. So now 3v4. This is still an eminently defendable objective with 3, but it gets down to 2, things get dicey much quicker. And Cobra playing in the same sort of unorthodox spot. It's less unorthodox for this objective, but still playing on that train. Yeah, I don't know if people are going to be looking for that.
You know, that takes some in-round adaptation, right? That takes the understanding of the conveying of, hey, this person was here and I was not ready for it. Let's be sure that we check it again when we're pushing in through this, you know, if the objective's here. It takes a lot of, again, memory of who's where, what's what. And I don't know, we're going to see a quick engagement here. Tiger finds a completely unaware Badger. I think a C4 was detonated there to try to catch him out, but that doesn't. And Tiger now in a great spot. Error 404 down to 2. Like you said, now things get a little bit dicey.
Yeah, because you have to cover both the north and the south. And Cobra's got the north at the moment, but if he goes down, Icy is going to be in serious trouble. Although at the moment, everybody is coming from the south side. Soldiers looks like he's starting to shift over to the north, so they can start more of an encapsulating attack, but the majority of the attack is going to turn into basically a 3v1.
Oh, this is interesting. Soldier is getting some audio info from Cobra there. And as soon as that call out comes, you can see the laser from Tiger Strike hunting for Cobra here, but that pillar doing a great job of denying vision. This spot is super good.
Yeah, you can tell they've thought through these spots. It's like you said, just knowing that that angle protects him.
Yep.
The pillar, I should say, protects him on that angle. That's pretty high level. Oh, and Def Redux gets Icy, and now from the south side, this is open.
This is looking like we're heading to a map 3 decider is what this is looking like.
Tiger's checking his code. He's on objective. He's on objective. This is a cap. This is a cap.
Oh no.
Nope. Well, that's really the smart thing to do regardless. There's no reason to sacrifice people on a 3-3. So, wow, what a comeback. What a comeback. What do you say? It was 5-6 points that 404 had without any kind of answer? And then 6, yeah. And then, wow, just Raptors came back with a vengeance. And now we're going to a tiebreaker.
We get a map 3 decider. I'm sure it's what everyone wants that's tuning in on Twitch, venues, Facebook, YouTube. We appreciate everyone that is hanging out with us this fine Sunday night. And a big shout out again to all the fathers out there. Happy Father's Day. We do appreciate you. They help, fathers help a lot. And all we can do here is shout them out vocally. I can't give you gifts or chocolate, or maybe I'll give you virtual high fives just to see me in game. But Father's Day, quick shout out to everyone there. And again, map 3, with what we've seen, I don't know where we're going to be headed. Oh, it's sand.
Yep. Yeah, it must be because they're rehosting. So I would assume it's sand. This is the only other custom map.
Sand is a wild custom map. One of my favorites to watch, but that's because it's so crazy. Because you just don't know what you're going to get when you tune into it. You don't know if there's going to be a cap in the first 20 seconds. You don't know what the aggression is going to look like, what these teams are going to go for. It offers up the possibility of wild, quick plays, and also, I haven't seen it yet, but slow plays, a slow methodical approach can be executed on sand. There's edges to the map, despite what people may believe. There's spaces that you can navigate that keep you out of immediate action, but even those spaces are usually pretty well covered, and so we'll see with what kind of objectives we get, what kind of defensive styles we get, what kind of offensive commitments we get out of these players. But map 3 on sand is a great way to round off this series.
Oh, I don't know what's going to happen. All I know is it's going to be spicy.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you that really the challenge of sand, you can see it if you just take an overhead of the map and you try and lay out defenses on most of these objectives, and you realize, like, oh, okay, I put somebody here. Well, now there's like 5 angles that can watch that person offensively. Great. Now I have to move them. Now you've got a bunch of angles watching them. Like, it's this constant rotation that you basically have to have in your head because there are very few safe places on this map.
Yeah.
And so it really rewards a more dynamic, aggressive play style rather than people who are sitting and watching angles.
Seeing if we're seeing any subs come through. Looks like both sides keeping with their active rosters that we've seen so far, and that makes sense, right? I mean, you just had a 3-3. You were doing well if you're Error 404. You had 4-1 on map 1. But now, with that 3-3 win, I feel like that really resets the momentum that Error 404 had. I mean, you're looking good. You have the lead on Subway, and then to lose it like that and ultimately lose the map, it's really anyone's game here on sand. It's going to come down to how good these teams are at rallying, how good they are at psyching each other up and staying focused. And personally, I don't think it's going to take much with this Series 3 decider to psych anybody up on either one of these teams. But we're now finally getting into the action, and we're going to see what sand holds for us. I could have said what's buried under the sand. Shoot, dude. There's so many good puns missed that I could have said. We're gonna go into the tiger's mouth like Jafar. I mean, you know, there's whatever. Sand. Here we go. There's sand.
And already, wow, Rypick moving up. Oh, I thought he was just going to start sprinting into the offense, but wishful thinking, I guess, on my part.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say reserved rollout because Icy is getting early aggressive up there onto that second floor, but they're not pushing in immediately to that inner ring. They're still playing it on the outer edge, waiting to see if anyone's pushing out from Raptors. But to Raptors' point, they are very tucked in. Everyone nearly investing into this on-objective defense. Redux, Tiger, Masono, they got Icy on the roof, and then I pick out on a kind of a, what would you call that? A bit of a wild card defensive position?
Yeah, a little bit. I think it's nice to have a position like that. Speaking of which, Rypick downs Amico. Yeah. But yeah, if you just play the same spots over and over again, people are going to be able to pick you apart. Even just a minor change to your defensive arrangements can really throw off another team.
I like we'll dive in and unlock a jewel of a game in the stands of it. You know, like there's other ones. Like there's even more that I'm
really,
of that I
you really want to make that work, don't you?
It's out there, dude. It's there to be had. Another kill's here to be had for a ride pick. And this position is paying dividends too, going down here. Oh, actually, that was the res that came in. So really just killing the person he's already downed.
No, I think we're Echo 4.
Which is really interesting. I don't know. Actually, I take that back. He should know that that was a revive and then a re-kill because the body was out in the middle of the open the first time he dropped him.
More surprising that the confirm didn't come through. Oftentimes, you see the players very diligent about making sure that a downed player is dead at this level, but not so there, and really hurt, but maybe a second kill could have come through.
They're coming from the
And this is exactly what I'm talking about on how to attack and how you can attack these objectives differently on sand. You don't need to play it aggressive. They are playing the outer edges of this map, and they are picking off this defense around objective. Another goes down up into the 2-story, and Icy's applying pressure very soon into the objective room. And no, he's not actually. He's going to go for a rooftop control, which can be even more effective.
Not only can you drop utility down through that window at the top, but yeah, you can shoot down. It's just such a powerful position if you can take it. And they know that all the defenders are inside, so this is exactly what they should be doing. They're encircling, they're getting above them. And there goes the first defender down from the top. Now 2v4.
Rotations coming in. Everyone on Raptors trying to defend and hold the proper angles, but just a great offensive round from Air 404 and a methodical picking apart of the defense nets them 1-0 on sand. And frankly, I think that's a perfect way to play that objective.
Yep, they basically cleared out anybody on the periphery, and then they trapped everybody inside the building. Can't get more textbook than that when it comes to encirclement tactics.
Yeah, that was really nice. And, you know, again, using the edges, not going in early for any trades, and if anything, throwing off that defense just a bit, because you almost expect to be into the action right away when you're defending. You almost expect to have shots at you as soon as you're rolling out, and they just don't come, and then eventually the push is executed, and it seems to just really catch all of the defense off. And not even that it caught them off, it's just that it was timed so well. You know, the pushing was so well executed that when the rotations had to come through on defense, other angles, other players were there ready to get that rotation, get those kills. And it was just an easy dub there for Rare 404 once they had the objective surrounded.
No doubt about it. And another thing to highlight is they were just so good at refrags too. Like the moment a defender took somebody, they just immediately had a refrag. Yeah. They were just, and that is such a sign of good positioning. Like if you watch a bronze match or something, you don't see a lot of refrags just because they don't understand those dynamics yet. They don't understand how to position people in complementary angles. But Error 404, despite being in their first season, already doing that at an almost instinctual level. It's really impressive to see.
Commanding early lead here on sand puts them into a very good position. Now they can play this defensive round however they want. They can get aggressive, they can play it passive, they can play tucked in. Very interested to see what this rollout looks like, and I think what they're probably going to do is spread out pretty wide. I think they're going to invest a couple into an outer edge defense because that's how they attacked. And if they don't, that would almost surprise me more. But we're into round number 2. Mat 3, the series decider. Everything on the line for these squads. Rank 2 versus rank 3, and so this match matters. We do get some early trading inside, and Error 404 losing rooftop control. That's bad news.
He's not. I can't.
We haven't even hit the 30-second mark, and already the defense has lost somebody. It's never a good feeling. Wow, that frag just sailed across the entire map. It went a little further than they wanted it to, but pretty close to hitting Badger on the roof.
Oh, and Badger almost gets his toes chewed up by some bullets there. Tiger trying to find the angle. Soldiers able to hold the backside for Tiger, and Badger goes down as he tries to rotate off of the roof. Amico's trying to redirect the smoke and is going undetected. Does get the smoke out of the doorway and can now hold it effectively.
Oh, and friendly fire from Def Redux. That is critical because that went from a 4v3 to a 3v3. And against a team like 404, you don't want to give up a single person. And now the trade. Cobra's still alive, able to give callouts, although he doesn't have great visibility at the moment.
Taking control now here. Tiger Strike finds STF Cup. Cup on the rotation to get the res, and now Error 404 are in a bad way. Miko, the only one left alive, he peeks out to challenge Soldiers and finds nothing. Raptors able to lock in a Marsoc round of their own and keep this thing even Steven for round number 3. A great push from that offense that gets them a well-earned Marsoc dub.
I have to say, Tiger Striker's rotation into that room really worked out. I think a lot of players probably would have gotten tunnel vision on the objective from that skylight and looked down, and instead he went into that little room and checked the backside, and as he did that, he saw STF Cup going for that revive. If he doesn't catch that, that's a much different round in my opinion, because that's 2 more defenders that they could have had inside.
Yeah, that was a huge kill there on that second story. Unfortunate, you know, that you go for the res and as you commit to it, you're exposed and you get downed, but that's the nature of the beast, and sometimes it can be played perfectly to the defense's advantage. You can wait for that res to come out and then get the kill when they go for the commit, and exactly what happened there. And Raptors, they're really resilient right now. You know, they've managed to come back from a 4-1 loss on Shipyard to get Subway. They're not letting Error 404 run away with anything here on sand, at least yet. And they go on in this defensive round next. Where are we headed with this objective? Into a corner that I would say is probably one of the more defensible objectives. This is, if anything, the hardest one to cap as Marsoc.
No doubt about it. For this one, if you just watch down this west street, you can control a lot of this objective. So basically control the west and the south.
Yeah.
And you can lock down. Just a matter of making sure the people in the south don't get too far away and open up a cap. But yeah, Raptors walking into, I would argue, the best possible scenario if they want to get a win on this map and close out the match.
Quickly kind of get a little listen in on the comms there. You can hear Raptors locked in, communicating, making sure everyone's aware of what they're doing, and if they need help, to be vocal about it. They don't want to have any sort of disconnect or a loss of their defensive setup here without somebody knowing, and so everyone's now in position. And to your point, Theta, they have invested a good bit over into this west side to make sure that they are covering this street.
And Soldiers looking down that street, Messino acting as sort of a backup. And Icy and Cobra staging right next to them. And Tiger Striker with an excellent angle on that as well. Ooh, Miko takes out Soldiers.
Wow.
There goes one of their western defenders. Oh, and they're starting to penetrate into the south. They don't have any south coverage at the moment.
Oh, that's what I was wondering would happen. Is a nade going to be placed here into this corner, and an air burst catches out Masono. Down goes the doorway defender, but Ryan picks here to pick up the slack and finds himself a huge double. If that doesn't get picked up, this is bad news for Raptors defense. And instead, a team kill comes in, aiding the Raptors to turn it into a 2-2. That's rare right there, Theta. A team kill?
Yeah, I know, especially teams at this caliber in this kind of situation. I think the pressure sometimes just gets to people, and you make a mistake like that. And that was critical, because now Raptors have 3 up. Icy could potentially get revived. I don't think anybody's going to try for that, though. It'd be a little too dangerous.
The south.
Yeah, Messino goes for the knife finish to not give away his position. Rypick takes out Badger, and 3v1 against Cup. This is not impossible, but looking very good for the Raptors at the moment.
Cup's on the right side, truly. If he comes in from this side, I feel like this is his best approach. He's got to win the challenge against Redux, and to challenge Redux, he has to peek out around the corner of that wall. So not an easy challenge, not an easy job ahead of him, but this is the right way to approach from. Redux goes down, he tucks back in, and then maybe gets another opportunity at Rypick. He's off to the races, but wow, that's the C4. Gonna do the damage of bullets, and nicely placed underneath. We saw it placed at the start of the round. I forgot about it. And clearly, Raptors did not. Gets that final kill. They go up 2-1. They are inching ever closer to locking in this series against a team that is higher than them in the rankings.
Well, just to point out, not that much higher, but yeah, to your point, they are ranked higher,
Not that
and
much.
that's kind of, I don't know, you guess you call it the underdog effect or something, when you really feel like, hey, we need to prove something, let's beat this team that's above us, and teams will just pull off like Hall of Fame worthy games in those sorts of situations. Raptors really digging deep, like you said, especially after that first map, which had to be a bit demoralizing. 4-1 on Shipyard, and then they win Subway, and now they're on the warpath on this map. Yeah, let's just see if they can carry that momentum further.
And momentum is a thing that we always talk about at this level. It's huge. It really does help a lot in that being confident in your plays, executing well, feeling good and playing good. It leads to more accurate communication, more accurate shots, more comfortability in high intense moments. And with Raptors having the momentum now, they've got to be feeling good on this attack here. They are a cap away from locking in the series, and they can afford to try and go for it. The question is do you really, though? Because right now, if you can just get the kills, you're up 3-1, you then go on to the defense. I guess who knows where you go. Of course, you could go to a terrible objectives position, but I don't know. I don't know what the approach is here. Do you play it safe and go for a 2-round win, or do you try and lock this up with a cap on this objective that is tough to get a cap on?
I will say, I feel like on that last round, 404 was really pushing the pace, and I don't understand why, because on this map, it's such a small map. If you have even 2 minutes, that's practically infinity. So it's really worth it to take your time and clear those angles right on objective. And if Raptors, I think the better move, in my opinion, is to take it a little slower, take advantage of that, and then pick apart the defense rather than try to rush in and do something which you don't really need to risk.
Yeah, it's hard to battle that need, though. To get there first and to hold those angles and to look for maybe an early pick, maybe set your team up with a 4v5. There's so much pressure in those early seconds to execute that sometimes it can negatively impact teams, and we're not seeing anything too terribly aggressive from Raptors here. Rypick and Tiger Strike investing in the safe rotation, not really pushing that west street. They're going to wrap all the way around and make their exit out through this doorway, but they got to be cautious. Where's the C4 placed? Is Amico ready to deploy that? Because he's there, easily able to queue in. And yeah, the C4, exact same position that last one was.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe that's just becoming the new meta C4 position. I'm not sure.
Oh, that one. Got it.
And we're seeing, again, just a 2-person setup from the south. Some utility comes out.
Oh my God, I love that. I think that nade is either intended for that or intended for Amico, but either way, it's a great nade.
Oh, wow. Messino drops it right on him. And wow, Cobra's the only one watching that south angle now.
Not ideal for this defense. Another nade comes in and catches out Cup on the back. The nades are raining down onto this defense, and Raptors have found a weakness of defending here and being grouped up, and they've lost on objective. Badger's tunneling right now. Tiger could push up and cap right now. He's got the pad out. Raptors are like, oh no!
Oh no!
Team kill comes in.
Oh,
Badger
no.
finds one and then goes for the confirm on the Rye. He can't get it. Raptors get the round, but that was series in their hands and literally slapped away by themselves.
Oh, man, they are going to be hurting after watching that footage, because Tiger, I've watched Tiger and played with him enough to know he is a very fast capper. That was in the bag. Even if Badger gets up and starts to run around the corner, he's getting that cap. and then Soldiers just pops one right between his eyes. They still get the win. It's still 3-1, but man, so brutal to lose the map point potential on that particular instance.
Well, hey, it's 3-1 now. Okay, who knows what's going to happen? Where are we going for our next objective? Oh, wow, they got lucky. This is another one of I would consider easy defendable objectives. If they had gotten the garage, that would have been a wild space to go. But if Error 404 can lock in 2, that's where we're going to be headed. Well, potentially where we could be headed. There's also the corner objective, but we could be headed there for the final round 7, which would just be insane. But what do you do here on offense? What's the best approach for this objective?
I would say this in some ways favors Era 404 because we've seen them, like we saw it on the first objective, really good at that sort of encirclement type of play. And on this objective, that pays dividends when you play that way. Yeah, and you can just kind of pick everybody off and then start throwing utility inside. You can compress on this objective, but it's such a small space that, especially you get too close together and somebody throws a frag in, it gets ugly pretty quick.
Man, yeah, it's true. If they lose the outside defense, that's when there's an opportunity that starts. Then you can.
Yep.
Yeah. It's going to come down to if Error 404 can execute. If they can get set up on the outside of objective, that's what we'll be looking for, and I'm sure that's what Raptors are going to be looking for here. 1 round away from locking in this series and pushing themselves up that ladder. Just got to do it here, and Soldier's going to take the rooftop to try and find some early picks.
Wow, already Icy goes down. We're 10 seconds into the round, and that is not a good sign for Error 404. It's not the end of the world, but you do not like to be down that quickly.
Gonna zip over to Ride Pick, who was pushed out pretty far forward himself. Cup fortunate enough that he gets downed in his Resibol. That is going to be a nice trade there to open up this entry for their 404 offense.
There's one in the south right now, by market.
Well, the danger here is that Soldiers is in this center building. And if they can find a way to get around him and get to the objective, he's going to have a hard time dealing with that. But it's also at a good angle to deal with these attackers.
Нет, я не знаю.
Man, they know he's up there too. Cobra has eyes on. Soldiers missed the shots. A huge miss from him too. He can't afford to repeat this. The outside C4 is detonated. Error 404 are gaining control here, and if Soldiers goes down, it's really bad. It gives them free setup outside.
Now Badger's starting to creep into the center building. I would imagine ostensibly to clear out Soldiers.
They're so aware of him. A good smoke here from Amico allows him to push out and cross. Redux trades with Soldiers. Badger has rooftop control. They've got the outside. Amico goes and finds Masono. Tiger getting the refrag, a huge one. Redux was there to swing out and also scoop it up. And Raptors are slowly getting rid of the outside defense. How long will that last though? Cobra comes in. He finds one. Tiger's on the hunt for another. He's the last one left alive in a 1v2, and Error 404 wins the Marsoc round on an objective that I'd say is easy to defend.
Wow, and now it's not over till it's over. And again, if things don't go their way, Raptors are going to be in so much agony watching that footage back where we got the team kill on the cap. Yeah,
you can't. I don't think that's plaguing them now, though. You have to think: is that something that they let impact them? I don't think so.
Probably not.
You really can't in the moment, right? So I don't know if it necessarily is impacting them now. But yeah, if this doesn't work out, if this goes 2 rounds to Error 404, that's going to be a real hard pill to swallow for Raptors. It's not done yet. Raptors have to get a Gosh, I don't know. I think we're headed to a 3-3. I truly do. Error 404 here. Just have to defend. And then we go to another fresh objective. And who knows where that takes us. Who knows what kind of opportunity that presents for Error 404. This final round could be now. Could be round 7. But either way, the action here is intense. And both teams are on the hunt for a W.
And as a player, these are the moments you just live for, that chance to have that comeback, to play in a match like this in front of all your fellow players on cast and in venues. This is just classic Onward. Ooh, and Messino takes out Badger, trying to go for a little bit of a defensive flank through the garage.
Yeah, pretty big risk. Icy also kind of dipping his toes into the poisonous water, getting a lot of shots sent his way. Smokes deployed up at him. A lot of lasers dialed in to this spot on Icy. And if anything, Icy's at least delaying the push immediately from this Raptors offense.
Top gets Messino. Now it's evened up 4-4. Tiger Striker trying to make his way from the south hallway onto the objective. He throws a smoke, but it's up on the roof instead of where he wanted it.
Rypick is battling both ends of this rooftop here, and now he's going to rotate out, maybe able to catch Tiger in a vulnerable position, and he does.
And Rypick knows where those shots came from, but just not in a position to get a refrag, unfortunately. Oh, wow. Oh, that frag was so close, but not quite.
There's one at market.
More shots coming in there, and Icy still alive. Rypick on a long rotation. He's dropped out of a spot that he was suppressed heavily on. And he is seemingly rotating around to reinforce his team. I don't know if that is the commitment he's making. Gotta wonder how long Icy can hold here on the roof.
He's on the
Good
roof still.
Soldiers. Takes a double peek on that angle.
On the north part.
It's flashed out. Icy almost finds. Look at the slice he's trying to thread there. Almost gets it in between the boxes. But Soldiers is going to stop challenging Icy on this rooftop position and rotate out. Oh, and I like this angle.
Wow, what an angle. Yeah, you can tell these guys have done their homework on how to attack certain areas. But Icy wisely gets away from that and decides to focus inward towards objective.
Yep.
At this point, he has no reason to be risking his life looking out.
He still is, though. He's just gotten himself a different angle as well. He's just holding it from a different position.
Yep.
It's the battle of rotations, and Icy is vulnerable here. Rypick could peek and catch ankles of Icy. He's exposed underneath this sheet metal, but he is really unaware of that risk. And he's actually crossed past Rypick's vision, and Rye's not going to apply the pressure here.
So he's got some ankle angles, as you said, and I think he saw him pass across his vision. He just couldn't react fast enough. They still have 2 minutes and 25 seconds. This is not an impossible task for Raptors. Ooh, and he gets Icy, but now leaving Rypick by himself for the 1v3.
What Rypick's trying to do is get an angle through these doorways to try and get rid of the doorway defenders there. He has to get through that position that he's looking at now, and I think he just spotted that cross there. He knows there's one there. He just can't find the angle he needs, and he's playing it patiently. He's got 2 minutes, so he has time to do it, but eventually he's going to have to push into that 1v3.
Yeah, I think it's just kind of a testament to how tight that angle is. He had his laser right on Amico, but
Yep.
I don't think he could see him. I think it's just kind of an artifact of what we're seeing with the lasers. But wow, yeah, it's just a super, super tight angle he's trying to hit. And he keeps checking his watch, too. He knows that he doesn't have a ton of time to work with, but for a potential match point on the tiebreaker, you take your time. Yeah, and Amico just taking just enough of an angle away from the doorway to not be seen. And Rypick has to know he can't hang out there much longer. Less than a minute remaining now. And it's truly more of a 1v2 because Cobra's just watching the north side. Ooh, he needs to be careful, though. Cup is watching that opposite angle. If he exposes himself to that doorway for even a moment, he's going to get shot.
Got to be ready for that, though. There's almost always someone here. You gonna go for the slow peek? He does. He goes for the slow peek. That's gonna be a nice pickup from Cup. Error 404. Take this to a round 7. We are tied up 3 apiece on the map 3 decider, Theta. It doesn't get much more hype than this right here. On sand, where are we headed? Oh, jeez.
Ooh, this is a brutal objective to defend.
But it's brutal to defend when the team can aggress, when the team can afford to go for maybe a bit of a unique kind of play. If a team's playing this one passively and playing it like the whole series is on the line, maybe it becomes a touch easier to defend. That pressure element very well could slow down the pace just enough to let Raptors set up appropriately and get comfortable into some nice defensive positions. I doubt Error 404 let it happen, but this is really the true test of these teams. What are they made of? Can they lock it in and keep everything tight, keep the communication where it needs to be, avoid an early pick? Because I truly think that's the real downfall of both of these teams, is the one that gets that early pick tends to come out on top.
Well, this is a tough one because you've got these canvas curtains all around the place, and they are penetrable. And so it turns out that to control this objective, you kind of have to make sure they don't get any rooftop position. So either the rooftop at the center or I guess what you call the second story in the garage, because both will just give you free reign of anybody that's near the objective. So you kind of have to play a riskier defense in order to control those angles so you don't just get picked apart. But if you do that, it's such a small map, you take that risk of losing somebody right away. I don't know. This is a tough position to be in.
I guess my question is, like, how do you go about attacking this? Defending it, is certainly a chore. But what's the right way to go about attacking this? I think it's to play it passive. I think it's to go to the edges and try and gain control of these tunnels that are around the outside of the map here. These, I'd say tunnels. What else would you call them? And from there, you have options. You can kind of pop out on objective. You can pop out on the back of it. If they lose this back tunnel, on objective defense becomes real difficult. And I think investment in the edges and going for this tunnel is certainly worth the while. But that's just me. We'll see what these teams do as we dive in to the series deciding round. Round number 7, map 3. Doesn't get any more intense than this, Theta. This is bottom of the 9th, full count.
Yeah, no
Bases
kidding.
loaded, 2 outs.
Yep. Yeah, this is super high pressure situation for both teams.
And I think we're both right here. I mean, you'll love to see it. The edge is getting taken control of here by Error 404, and Rypick investing in that second story garage defense so that he can prevent it from being taken control of. And Redux catches one. Cobra trying to get control over there, trying to push out. He goes down. Soldiers catches Amico, and this is not looking good for Error 404. They have to do some serious work here. Cup has to get Redux, and that edge duo has to do some damage.
If I'm Def, I rotate back now, personally, because Cup knows he's there. Even though he's got a tight angle, there's utility available, that sort of thing. And you've already got 2 picks. Why risk it on this 3-3? Like, get back into a different position, force them into that hallway, and ambush them when they come in. Ooh, and Badger gets a frag. Wow. Oh, okay, revive. I thought it was a team kill.
I did too. We thought the same thing. The Reds comes in as shots are coming in from Icy. Cup not ready for Redux, just forgets that he's there, and Redux swings out to deny Cup control of what could have been a very effective position. This is a great setup for Raptors, and they are not letting this one slip through their claws, as Badger has rooftop control, and Icy's going to try and go get garage.
Oh, and Icy kind of moving out on his own. Ooh, picks off Tiger Striker. See, this is what I was talking about. Now they have control of the two elevated positions over objective. This is very dangerous. It's 2v3, but I would argue there's almost an advantage here for Arrow 404 just because they have these positions. Messino really has nowhere to hide at this point because the moment Icy or Badger gets an angle on him, he's dead. He cannot hide behind those curtains either.
Fully penetrable. He does have the saving grace of the fruit box, which seems to be preventing Icy from fully getting rid of him here, but he is in a precarious position now, and this Arrow 404 setup is looking good.
Oh, and it's all down to Icy now. 3.5 minutes left. They just need to lock down now and make sure they have supporting angles, and this is match for Raptors.
Oh no! He didn't put the clip in the gun. He went to reload. He's still holding his magazine on the front of his rifle. Or he did put one in? I don't know. I still see him holding a mag in his hand. I'm confused.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I see what you're talking about. I don't know what's going on.
Maybe just a bug. Probably just a visual bug. I'm sure he's reloaded and everything's fine. We're not going to invest much more into it. But he's into the 1v3 now. And I was worried for a second he wouldn't have any ammo, but I think we're fine.
And this is where you really have to dig deep as a player. Really think it through. You've got time. He does not need to rush right now. Nope. And he really shouldn't rush right now.
Oh, I like this. I like that flash. He knows Soldier's there. What is this push?
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. If he gets in there, Def is too far off, and so is Soldiers. Oh, no. This is a cap. Oh, no. He's not going for it. Never mind.
Oh, he gets tagged through the hedges. Soldiers can take these shots. The flash comes up and over, and I think it catches Soldiers. Soldiers dips back. He's calling out for support from Redux. Redux is coming here, and Icy's ready for it. Down goes Redux. He's trying to get the double, and he can't. Soldiers locks it in. Raptors squeak away with a W, but they get it, and they take the series 4-3. What a crazy way to end, Sand.
Oof, got to take a breath after that round. Oh my God, my heart is just racing. Also, I don't know if you caught this, but Def was rushing in. He flashed himself too, so it's like basically everything possible was just going wild at that last moment, and it really was up in the air for a second there. What a match, what a map, what a round. Unbelievable.
Kind of thankful for that TK that it came through now to give us that crazy finale.
No kidding. No kidding.
But, gee, yeah, what a great way to wrap up this series, and what a great series to deliver to everyone that was tuning in on venues, Facebook, Twitch, YouTube. We appreciate everybody that has dropped by and watched this matchup with us this afternoon. It was a great one. Also, a shout out to our sponsors. At the end of the season, we have a tournament with our top 8 teams competing, and our sponsors come together to offer a great prize pool for those tournament contestants. Those sponsors include VR Cover. They offer great face covers for your headsets. I highly recommend them. It enhances the comfort, honestly, 5 to 10-fold. VR Wear offering great clothes branded with VRML merch. So water bottles, shirts, sweatshirts, sweatpants. Get your VRML merch. Head over to VR Wear. The link's on the VRML website at vrml.com. Also, ProTube coming together to offer a great support for your controllers, the mount that ends up stabilizing your aim. A lot of snipers, it's key in their regimen. It also enhances the immersion a substantial amount, in my opinion. It really makes it feel like you're holding the gun when you grab it in VR. You can add to that by getting the B Haptics vest, another one of our sponsors. That adds the full haptic feedback of getting shot onto your chest so you can feel the impact of the bullets. And then you can tie the cyber shoes onto your feet to enhance to get that full immersive experience and feel the running of VR. It really is another way to add immersion to your gameplay in VR if that's one of the things that you really seek out. And you can feel like you're walking while you walk in VR. It's a really cool product. I highly recommend checking it out. Also, a shout out to Rebuff Reality coming together to give us some great products like power supplies, which I think are honestly at this point almost necessary. If you have a question, you play in the Onward League because you're going to go for a couple of hours in these matches. And then lastly but not least, the HyperX sponsor coming to provide what is the beautiful voice of this mic. You can give a shout out to HyperX for enhancing my deep baritones, because without it, you wouldn't get this kind of quality. So shout out to them as well. They also obviously come together to offer some great headsets for uprising alongside all of our other sponsors. So a big shout out to them and a big shout out to you again for tuning in. That'll be it for us here at the desk. My name's been Nightfire with 2 E's, my co-caster Theta. Appreciate you for tuning in, and we will see you all next week with more Onward VRML action.